Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's still a variation of gray.
Sure.
That's a good way to call it that, though.
Yeah, that's woman
Slate.
colors. I know
Eggshell
gray.
white. Eggshell white is
As soon
my
as
favorite.
eggshell white at least makes sense. I'm like, okay, I know what an eggshell looks like.
Mhm.
It's when they throw periwinkle at me and I'm like, blue?
Is that pink?
Yeah, what is periwinkle?
It's probably like a purpley, like very light purple.
I think it's like
I think it's a
pink.
blue.
Or is it blue? It's a pink or a blue.
All right, what's the votes?
Mine's blue.
I'm gonna say blue because that's what my gut told me
I'm
originally.
going like a purpley kind of color.
I think it's a purple because that's what the color of the flower is. Yeah, it's like a kind
Yeah, that's exactly
of
what I
blue
was
and like
envisioning.
violet.
It just looks
Oh,
gray.
I actually like it. That's pleasant.
that's the color of our.
And there are 50 shades of periwinkle.
Oh, so there's a blue.
There's
It's just
pale
blue.
lavender, there's bright periwinkle, there's dreamy periwinkle,
Creamsicle periwinkle.
cream your
shrimp
sickle.
periwinkle, deep fried periwinkle. Yeah. I watched a
Okay.
lot of
That was
Forrest
good.
Gump as a kid, guys.
Yeah.
Same here. There was a
At
point.
least twice in one class.
Not exaggerating. I'm convinced 2/3 of it was a third of the class's content at that
Yeah.
point. We never got quizzed on it either. It was just like, and what did you guys think? We're like, we saw it earlier,
What do you mean? What do we think?
like 6 weeks ago. We
What
watched
do you
this.
think? You want to run it back?
Yeah, you want to remember that? It's pretty good, huh?
You don't watch it again? Oh.
Yeah. Me, if I'm ever a physics teacher.
Is that like Tom Cruise? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm glad we always quote Tim and Eric.
It is. It's the.
It's very quotable, but boy, is it so bad.
We're laughing at it though, Price. Not,
I love it.
You're laughing with it. That's the issue.
It's still a 10 easily.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
You have floundered on
You
that
have floundered
show.
before.
And then he reverted
got it.
back.
Yeah.
He said no, it's not a 10.
Yeah, there's at least like a good 10 to 15 episodes.
Oh yeah, it was
Yeah.
that long.
I did.
where you were trying to like
We've-
hide the fact
If you
that
don't,
gave
if
it
you
a
don't,
10.
if you don't ever question your faith, you are not. You're
Get the
God's
fuck
what?
outta
I'll give you
disciple.
that. I'll give you that. Like it's don't stand by your past self.
Yeah.
You know.
Exactly. Do we should become a philosophy podcast? Instead of 2 white guys talking, we can be 4 white guys talking.
That's
about
just my job already.
Yeah.
My job's already a third philosophy. There we go. That's the word I'm looking for here.
Yeah. I mean,
You
I
do
can
have
see that.
a movie on your bookshelf over there.
Call it
movie
out,
shelf
Camacho.
Hold on, we're looking at the
About
movie.
philosophy. It's called Into the Dark.
Oh,
It's Annabeth's movie.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've not seen that.
We've or After the Dark.
I was
not
supposed to say, you
Into
talking
the
about
Dark.
after the
My
Dark?
bad, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's got the guy from Spy Kids in it.
I need
Yeah,
to.
that's something that should go
Yeah.
on the wheel.
Hell yeah.
All right.
The Spy Kids. I just saw that quote the other day where Steve Buscemi says, like, "Is God scared of what He created?" Or like, do y'all remember that quote?
That's
Is
kind
he
of
really
ringing a
in that
bell.
movie?
I'll have to find it.
I've watched that movie a lot passively because my brother loved that movie as a child.
I maybe have seen it once.
I don't think I've ever seen it. I've
It's
only
the
seen,
gum.
like,
It's the
bits and
bubble gum
pieces.
gizmos that I'm. thinking.
Steve Buscemi says, "Do you think God stays in heaven because He too lives in fear of what He's created?"
He says that in the
It's
movie.
Spy-
Spy
in
Kids
Spy
2,
Kids.
Island of Lost Dreams.
Jesus.
We were convinced nobody was watching.
You know that might actually be a real
That's a-
banger of a movie.
That's a
Yeah.
real profound statement.
Yeah.
You know what? Can we just start quoting that out of context? And if anybody asks, like, Spy Kids
We
2.
secretly find out that that Price watches that movie once a week.
I believe it.
Like, and
would.
that
I mean, it
is his
wouldn't be
true
that much of a
religion.
shocker,
I
would
wouldn't
it?
be shocked.
No.
that seems like a movie he would watch once a week. Anyways,
Shiitake mushrooms.
wait, did we? Fuck, that's what else. Yeah, those were other banger quotes on it. Oh, we didn't. We weren't gonna do the mics either. That was the other part I was gonna ask.
No,
I know the laptop was
I
a
didn't have
sitch,
time
but-
to get it set up.
That's fair.
This man doesn't want to have a.
I liked it whenever it was clipped, and we
I
got to
liked
see the
it.
bar
I'm
keep
gonna-
going.
I know.
I'm gonna-
What?
I will do it.
Yeah.
I swear. I just gotta find a.
We're just
program
waiting
that
until
I-
part 2 of this season. then.
Yeah.
That's the quote I say all the time.
Somebody ring the Dinkster.
Oh my god.
Welcome
To an equally great movie.
Gangster.
to a halfway check-in of this season of the F Movie Podcast. We're your hosts, Mason, Dylan, Price, and Nathan. And today, we are officially halfway through season...
Like 8?
8?
11?
Shut up.
This is not official at all. We came up with that title 30 seconds ago.
We officially decided that instead of it being the end of the season with 13 movies, we're just going to double the season, and we're only halfway through the season. And
Season 8.
season 8.
No,
So we
no,
are
no, No, we're further along than that. That's just what released.
Oh God!
You got us
We're
again.
probably at like 9.
We're probably through.
Probably
We're
at
halfway
9.
through 9. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
halfway. All right, so we're halfway through 9. We're at season 4.5.
We were just about to do Ice Queen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No, we just did it.
We did do it.
Yeah,
We just
it
did
aired.
it.
I watched it.
No, we didn't.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
what just aired
No, it
actually
was
is
The World's End.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
that
Snow Queen was next.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
Snow Queen's
Some
already
before.
out.
Yeah.
Boy.
I watched
Snow
that
Queen
one,
was
yeah.
Before.
No, you're right.
Anyways, so while we're debating what season we're in and all that jazz, we're at season 9, which is also halfway through season 9, so season 4.5. And what movie are we on, Nathan? For the
Nathan.
We're watching a movie that I very much don't have the greatest recollection of whenever I was a teen, apparently.
Nor
But
do
Yeah.
I now.
I feel like
Same.
there's
Yeah.
a
There's
big
a lot.
chunk of this that I did not recall. Zardoz. The thing that I think, if anybody has ever seen anything about this film, they have seen the giant floating heads and Sean Connery in a
In a nappy.
like a red nappy and like with shotgun
Bandoliers,
bandoliers
yeah.
on,
It's a bandolier and a speedo combo, but it's all red. Yeah.
and him just like holding a revolver standing in a desert.
No, and I love his stance too, because like his knees
Whenever
are
he
always like
does
halfway
that.
bent, like
Yeah.
he's
He goes
ready
full
for
western
action.
into
Yes.
it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Head is low, not
Yeah.
stable. Yeah.
But yeah, so this movie, it also is like I guess a bit of a tangent. The Rick and Morty, the giant heads, like the "Show me what you got."
That is what that's
Yeah.
from.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's what inspired this.
Wow.
Or that's what.
I love that
Inspired
episode
from
too.
this,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never would have got that.
But yeah, so this film is ambitious
That's a
in
word.
what it is trying to convey to the audience. We'll get into the weeds on how well they do with that, but basically, kind of the idea is that the world was going really bad. A bunch of very smart people figured out how to make a machine that would make them live forever. And in all of their time of living, they have either become rebels that have been aged to the point that they are now old and looks like they're living in like some kind of perpetual prom where they're always all dressed up in
Yeah.
tuxes and
They're
stuff.
on like a fancy dinner party or something.
Yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
weird fancy dinner party of old people, or they are the despondents who basically just stand around and do nothing because they wish they could die, they cannot die.
They're
They're
like
bored.
apathetic, right?
Yeah, the
that's what-
apathetics, that's
yeah,
it,
that's
yeah.
apathetics. Yeah.
they're bored.
Yeah.
And
There's
then
a-
you got the ones that are still trying to like run the world in a sense,
Yeah.
but like the world's pretty terrible outside of their little bubble in which they exist. That being said, you don't really see a whole lot of the world outside except for a couple of flashbacks of like people being killed and stuff. Like it doesn't look, I don't know, in some ways it's like it doesn't look like the world's that bad. It just looks like you are taking shots in England in different areas that they also filmed.
Wicklow, Ireland is where it was mainly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that, like it basically like think like the Moors, and that's where they filmed all this stuff.
Mm.
So like the same place that
Never been. I'm an American, baby. Speak to
like
me in
the same
states.
place that you would have seen Excalibur filmed. Or
Okay, now you're talking my language.
But this is the group of people that this movie's kind of about. But our main character, Sean Connery, who's called Zed, is part of this like tribalistic kind of group that worships the giant head, who are they are mortal and just kill people.
The gun rebels.
And he gets sucked up into this place that's
doesn't
called
get
the
sucked
Four
up.
He
Towns.
sneaks in.
So-
Well,
There's
well,
a-
I know that at the end.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah,
not
I mean, there's-
spoiling it yet.
Yeah. So
Spoiler.
I mean, I think we might as well just
Spoiler
dive
for
into spoilers.
1974. Yeah, let's just leap into
Okay,
it.
that's
so
fine.
Yeah.
He is led by the character Zardoz into discovering a bunch of lost human knowledge. He learns how to read. He reads The Wizard of Oz, and whenever he reads that book, he realizes that the giant heads going around telling people on the planet what they need to do are basically like that Wizard of Oz. And he decides that he's basically going to overthrow the system in the way that it exists, that just perpetuates like violence and death in order
This
to
is
like,
why
quell
that sticks out for
populations.
you, isn't it? It's another overthrow the system, fuck the man movie. I just now put that together. You saying that out loud, I'm like, I
well,
got it.
it's also an interesting piece, like just thought-wise, in the idea of people that live forever.
Yeah.
Like what does it mean to live forever? What happens if like not only is it like you are living forever, but you have to live forever. You can't not live forever. You're stuck.
Yeah.
We just watched a movie like that recently.
Yeah,
Palm
we did, in
Springs.
a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
it's
it's almost it's a very
That's true.
similar thing ultimately,
Can we just
right?
do the first
It
3
is.
episodes of True Blood?
Oh,
and then
no.
They
do episodes
both-
4 through 6.
There we go.
Yeah.
Never mind. They both paint a picture of like immortality being pretty terrible.
Yeah.
I'm tired of this immortality slander. I think it's gonna be fucking sweet.
Dylan would drag everyone in.
I would bring. I'm bringing at least 9 of my closest friends. You know. Definitely bring Hannah. She's got to suffer the whole time.
That would be terrible. But the movie starts off in a very interesting way with the character of Zardoz's floating head just ping-ponging around the screen.
For like 10 minutes.
Yeah, for a
Like,
long time,
just-
just saying gibberish
Yeah,
at
just
you.
basically like talking a bunch of backstory to what's going on, but not like really giving you full details at any point. It's just like
No.
a strange cryptic intro.
It's also it kind of keeps itself safe because it's like, listen, guys, this is an abstract, perspective. Like, we're just gonna tell you that. I mean, he basically dances around the fact that this is just a premise. This is just an idea, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, then shortly after that, it gets very, very interesting. Very
What
quickly.
did you all think of his facial hair being
Oh
literally
my
like
drawn
Sharpie
on.
on?
Yeah.
I could tell from when he was further back on the screen, then it got closer. I was like, oh, that just looks worse and worse.
Yeah, it keeps
Like
getting
that.
worse.
That must have been deliberate, though. I don't think they were like
Everything
just,
was deliberate.
Yeah.
Like I don't think they did that. Like, so this character has a goatee that is literally just like a couple of lines of Sharpie.
It's
on
how
his
you would draw a
chin.
pumpkin.
And
Yes.
yeah,
Yep.
and then he has like a little twirly mustache that is also Sharpied on his face.
Mhm.
It's small. It doesn't even go all the way out here. It just
No,
goes like
yeah.
right here.
Oh, is that? Oh, that's right. Yeah,
It's
it's
super
a lot
small.
smaller than that.
And then after it got like it shows him, it goes into the movie proper where you see Sean Connery, Zed. They're out like shooting and banging and killing and doing all this stuff, and
And
then
raping.
then the floating head Zardoz comes up and comes to give him a sermon where it says the best line of the movie, 10 minutes in, where he says, the gun is good, the penis is evil. And then they're all like, yeah, and then it just vomits guns on
AKs
top.
everywhere.
many
Yeah.
guns.
First guns is just AKs, and then more AKs coming in.
And just like shotgun shells.
Yeah,
everywhere.
Yep.
everywhere.
And unfortunately, that's about as exciting as this movie gets.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
me personally, that is
Yeah.
the highlight of the movie, and
Yeah.
from there on, I hate to say that it really just slowly goes downhill because I gave it to about the halfway mark until it really started to fall off for me.
It just whinges. It just talks and talks and talks the
It
whole
definitely
time.
wants to like it wants to say a whole lot about like the ideas that it's basing itself on, of these like people living forever and like everybody's different little goals
Yeah.
that they have
With
within this.
interesting characters too,
Mhm.
because
Yeah, because they're not genuinely interesting. Because they're
and
all
they try.
like, and it's it was like a direction choice for them to say like all of you have lived hundreds and hundreds of years, so all of you are like so generally apathetic and
Right.
disinterested and not very emotional. So that's how you all need to act,
Yeah.
and that leads to just a
It's
bunch
Translating
of really,
too hard, right?
Yeah, like you leaned in too hard into your premise in that sense. for sure.
Outside of the guy with the drawn-on mustache, he might have been
Yeah,
the
he
best
was
character.
he was the little like whimsical like
Yeah.
oh isn't it fun what I'm up to kind
Yeah.
of guy.
the frilly dude that was probably the most and only comedy of the whole movie.
Right. This movie rapes a whole lot. I kind of want to talk about that for a second.
It definitely it penetrates.
Yeah, that's the word. There's just several times where it's happening, and I feel like I'm just like, okay, man, 70s didn't cancel shit, did they? But no, I just wanted to point that out. That's the thing. Trigger warning, I guess, if you're gonna watch that movie, and you might get upset by that. But this movie has an obscene amount of nudity.
Yeah.
And it has drawings of penis. It has all that. I don't think that there was one female character in this movie that didn't eventually get her boobs out.
I think you might be right because at the beginning they're kind of not modest, but like you think, oh, they're actually not going to take it off.
They're like low key. It's like they're teasing. It's all kind of like this. You know
and
what
then
I mean?
towards the very end, there's like a running scene, and all the ones who hadn't shown anything,
they
it's
come
all
out.
falling
Yeah,
out.
and then there's the scene wherever everybody's all horny because they're like I think if we try to kill this guy, that's an aphrodisiac or something like that. I started.
Yeah, basically like
Same.
all
Yeah,
Same.
all the apathetics have this kind of realization after seeing like Sean Connery's main character like running around in like the dangerous situation, and that like
resparks them back to life.
Breathes life back into them.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, since we're hopping into that like latter half of the movie, I think that like that's the part of the movie that I remember more so is the like kind of just hijinksy sort of stuff going on with the old people like hiding him in the wedding dress and all that sort of stuff. Like I think that is actually kind of fun. Like I enjoy the weirdness of that because at one point there's also a giant paper mache head just like walking around through the scene. Like there's just it gets crazy. Like all these different groups of people that he's met through
or like throughout the whole process,
like the first half of this movie are now clashing in with one another and like just it's chaos in a way that's like pretty funny.
It gets to like this, like the best way to describe it in my opinion is like this Looney Tunes style orgy with the whole gang of characters up until this point.
Because there is actually orgies going on
orgies
in the middle of this too.
That is not hyperbole. I'm not being exaggerative. This is actual orgies being sprinkled amongst them killing a person. Okay, one of my favorite lines during the orgy Passover was a phrase I didn't think I'd get to say in a movie description. Is the one guy was sitting here talking about, they're like, oh, we killed somebody, and it turned out it wasn't him at all. Oh well. And then it's like as they pan over it, you see like a girl with like a little tiny blood drop on her like throat. That is the same thing with when they shot the one woman in the water. It was like blah, but it was like one drop of blood, and then she falls over, and I was like, they didn't even have a blood budget. Like,
but they didn't have a lot of budget with this film.
You could tell when they did because they just like they held the camera on scene so long, so many times. Where like they showed that same scene where they were going back in Zed's head to them riding on the beach with the horses shooting. They did that same scene like
At
two or
least
three
2 or 3
different
times.
times.
Yeah.
And
but they were saying
there are new revelations about it every time they're kind of.
There was a little bit of that, but they were also like his. Whenever they were examining his mind, that's whenever they would see that scene, and they said like, you know, he keeps really focusing on this moment. Like this is the scene that keeps like showing back up anytime we're like trying to learn about him as a person.
There are 5 more scenes I can point out where it lasts too long.
The Wizard of Oz.
The Wizard of Oz scene where like
but
he's
it's
like
the reveal
screaming,
though. It's the
like he's screaming and there's like scenes and it's all black. Like there's so many times where it's like just in the scene we got what we needed. And the biggest offender to me is when his name's Friend. Who takes in Zed and all this stuff. The people find out what he's doing, I guess, and they decide to do some magic on him. Until that point, I didn't really know that they had magic. Like,
I wasn't sure if they were fucking with us or not.
They had like mind control or like
they had some kind of mind powers, which I think was because they all had that like. There's some little like Deus Ex stuff going on in this for sure, and one of them is that the thing that makes them not able to die and live forever, and it's not that you can't be killed. You can be killed, but you just regenerate at the Ark, which is like this device that just creates them anew.
That puts you in the same body.
Whenever Zardoz dies, they like pan over. It's like, oh, here, like he's coming back now, and they're like like the camera pans over to a little what looks like a human embryo developing in there.
Yeah, we didn't talk about the scene I was trying to get to.
What I was gonna say about that is they haven't put little crystals in their heads, and that's like what connects them to the Ark. So I assume that's what allows them to
mind control
to do things to each other, but not to him, not to Sean Connery. Rather,
kind of like Edward and Bella. In Twilight.
Well, Bella.
All this explanation that Nathan just said, you don't get anything prior to this scene. All you see is like Friend is just like sitting there at the dinner table and everybody's like Jabu, 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 and he's like, come on guys, be cool about it. And they're just like Jabu, 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 and he's just like, oh, and then for like 10 minutes they're just like doing this.
It is definitely
for so long, and he's just like, oh, until he passes down the table and Zed just comes up and is just like, hey.
Well, then later we see him, and he just kind of looks like Mitch McConnell. You know, he's kind of just stroked out on the side.
Yeah, he's very stroked out. Like he's aged on one side.
Yes.
Yep. And he still like has this almost sane personality. Like he's still trying to rebel. everything
I mean,
that.
he's
They've
still
just
the same
lobotomized him a
mind.
little.
The rest of them seem like they're
Cuckoo's nest.
senile.
Yeah.
Just a
Well,
little.
they were also older than everybody else, and had spent like more time being old. I guess
Yeah.
is what I feel like is
They've
probably
embraced the old at
situation
that point,
there.
right?
I thought he said that's where they put the rebels who they make go crazy.
Well, so that is where they put the rebels, but being a rebel, the punishment for like doing things that go against the collective is that you get aged.
You add
Yeah.
years.
You get-
They kept getting age and age and age, so they were finally just put out to pasture, basically,
Yeah.
in that place.
This is closely to have the exile for immortals in this age,
Yeah.
I guess, was the
Yeah.
idea. But the execution is 10 minutes of squiggly fingers, and wow, this scene is still going, isn't it? Which is something I said out loud several times in this movie. So I would be remiss if we didn't mention the soft penis, hard penis.
Oh
scene.
yeah.
That has to
Classic.
go. That has to go on record. There's at one point where they're fixated about the sexuality of this man and Sean.
Well, yeah, because there's another thing is that apparently in being immortal, eventually you just have no drive
Yeah.
sexually.
Your
at all
libido is
anymore.
gone, I guess. Yeah.
Right.
So that's what they're like trying to discuss.
They're trying
and
to suss
analyze
out,
and like
yeah.
trying to be like, what is
What makes a
working for
penis
this man?
soft? What makes a penis hard? And it had a drawing of a soft penis and a drawing of an erect penis, and I'll take it. And that will reflect in my score later.
And they tried making him get hard
Yeah.
by showing him scenes of him raping people, which goes back to Dylan's point.
No,
is-
no. They
Well,
didn't-
they originally showed the shower
That was a
boobs.
porno.
No,
Yeah.
they showed the boobs,
They
and
showed
then
the
they
shower
showed
boobs for a while.
like two girls fighting in mud.
Yeah, it was mud
It was
wrestling.
mud wrestling,
Yeah.
and then it was him doing the rapey girl scene.
Okay, I skipped ahead a few pornographic
And he also
scenes.
smirked
Never
at
do.
them whenever they were like trying to demonstrate. He just kept smirking.
Oh, no,
at them,
the
like, you're not
smug-
gonna crack me, ladies.
And
Yeah.
then he looked at the main lady and was like,
Yeah.
"Oh."
Yeah. But what?
There-
Who wouldn't?
I
you
feel
know.
like
She was really
I feel
hot.
like this
Yeah,
is an
there was
example of a movie that made now could probably actually be a decent idea. Like there's a lot of interesting ideas here. Sean Connery does not do a good job of selling that he's basically playing dumb
Yeah.
and really actually knows a whole lot.
No, he comes
Like,
off as a caveman throughout the whole film, and then with the under the blanket teleport reveals. That's a new
Yeah.
phrase for me too. This movie's chock full of them. With the under the blanket mental telepathy reveals that he's like, oh no, I'm here to kill. I'm here to
I'm
redo the whole
here
thing.
to completely wipe this whole thing out.
Yeah, I am a
And
Trojan
not
horse
only
in
that,
this thing.
like I'm really smart. I have read a ton of books. Like
Yeah.
I'm super knowledgeable. Yeah.
Zardoz,
He never-
Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, he never
Yeah.
sells that.
Ah.
He never shows that he's intelligent. The only intelligence he shows is just him hiding what he's about.
Yeah.
But you don't really get that. Like that doesn't make sense.
It's
until
shown
towards
as
the
well
end.
as like Doofy from Scream or from Scary Movie 1, where like that's a deep cut.
I haven't seen it.
All right, well, you have a person who is clearly coming off as like intellectually challenged. We'll put it that way, right?
Mhm.
Throughout the whole film, yeah, that it's not nearly described that softly in that film. And the entire time he plays, and at the very end, spoiler, he's one of the killers. And you see him just like, and he walks all like in a way, and then you just see his feet start slowly walking. He rips off the mustache, slick back hair, and it's just immediately he's just a sexy Chad dude.
Hot,
walking off.
yeah.
But there's zero like illusion that that's like
Let's
supposed
see
to
what
happen.
happens.
Yeah, that scene's actually a Scream or a Scary Movie 1, man. Kind of has some moments.
Go ahead. So-
Anyways, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about Nathan's favorite porno.
Yeah, they're very subtle. about
Yeah,
it.
that's what I mean. Yeah, yeah.
The arc itself was kind of interesting too, like aesthetically. Like they definitely wanted to. They must have done a lot of filming in that particular space. You know, where it's just like all the people in like kind of like the
Yeah,
the tetra basically
bright
it's like
neon
they had a
meeting
bunch
room.
of glass and stuff, and like all these people that were just kind of like off in like an infinite looking space.
Some of the sets were kind of cool though.
Oh, most of the
Most of the
sets
sets I thought were
were
I
kinda
thought
good,
the
though.
set design was good. I think the costuming was actually very interesting.
It wasn't
like,
bad.
It
wasn't-
was on
it wasn't
like
like-
it was a good theme. Like
Yeah.
each group of people
And
had
it let every
it.
titty come out if it needed to, and it did.
Which I thought would, you know what, another thing I mentioned while I was watching it was like, you know, I think the group of women were supposed to be pretty darn smart, and, you know, kind of prestigious, whatever. And this movie, in a weird way, like, sexualized them, but like they were definitely not trying to be sexualized all at the same time. Did you guys get that vibe where they were like?
Are you trying to mention that they felt a little empowerment to you, like with how they?
Well,
did
no.
it,
So
or,
like they were on the right track for basically being like, you know, men. What are you gonna do with them, right? And then then this whole movie was about them just losing their tops at some point. Like every single one of them got naked.
Well, even the one who was like the science one, May, who was like in charge. It seemed like it was like I'm just studying him for like purposes. Like I want to find out more about him, and then they do the under the cover scene.
Yeah.
And she's like, I want to have your babies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she's like, oh, is this what you mean by under the cover studies? Is what, you know, Dolores Umbridge or whatever her fucking name is going to pull up and then over it. Which...
Was that her?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
It's definitely not the same actress at all. This is 74. There's no way that she ages that well.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, so this movie's a whole fucking lot. TLDR, it's a whole lot without me really being able to tell you, frankly, much of anything that really kind of goes on.
And it's still boring.
Yeah. This movie is through and through very boring, even though I think it plays with some ideas that I think could be interesting.
For a movie with
this goes in with a lot of other films in my mind that I would like to actually see made into a good movie. It's just this is not
like
a good
Dune.
movie.
Yeah.
But like the Dune production quality. Or
Right.
Like,
Can we get Can we get a Dune amount of boobs?
Oh my god.
No, that'd be all AI and CG nowadays. These ones brought real people.
Hey, not after the writers' agreement.
That's true.
You don't see a damn thing.
We're off a strike
This
now. We
movie
finally
would have
settled.
to change so much to be good.
Yeah. Oh my god, so much. And it doesn't ever get made. It just straight doesn't. Like.
Well, I mean, yeah.
We have to change a lot on this. Hey,
I will say never because
that's true. Hollywood baby.
There's a video game called The Seventh Guest that is having a VR version of it made here, like releasing soon, and it was a game that was on the Philips CDI that I played as a kid.
Yeah. So just hearing Philips CDI is already.
Just so we're clear, I always have had just the weirdest version of things.
No, I know.
And the CDI was all about like.
Did you own the Dreamcast?
No.
Okay,
no.
That's impressive.
But it was all like a video, like you would have like recorded video.
Yeah, it would straight up just be like the literal like it would play at AVI effectively.
Yeah,
like, yeah.
So that game is being turned into a VR game. So don't say that the weird things that I'm into can't somehow come back.
I will not say never on anything. Never and always are never true and always never going to happen. But I don't think this movie's not being called Zardoz ever again.
They'll rename it. It'll be a different product.
Yeah, it'll be something else.
It's gonna be a.
If they've got Rick and Morty like references, it's like Lawnmower Man. Like Community had that Lawnmower Man reference. Like it can, if it's still being referenced, it's still being talked about. It's still in.
It'll just get its
possibility.
All the movies that are the weirdest stuff that I introduce you all to, I see references to it all the time.
Yeah, that's fair. I'd still get surprised by how many.
And you'll notice with Zardoz too. You'll see it.
Well, when you mentioned the Rick and Morty big floating head thing, I'm like, oh my god, isn't that? All right. Anyway, Fat Thin Perfectly Fit. We've been talking about this movie for a minute. You know you love it, Mason.
This movie was so fat. This movie was entirely too much, and like when I say I got to the halfway point, Nathan preface this with like, hey, this is the worst movie I've ever seen. I was like, I've ever put on this wheel. I was like, I doubt it. Come on. But in the first 12 to 20 minutes, holy shit.
It's in Community too.
You gotta be kidding me.
Yeah.
I knew that would shake you more than anything because that's his favorite show.
Oh, it's Starburns. Okay, I was like, who would that be? Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah, towards the halfway point in this movie,
I got my finger on the pulse of the culture.
You are the culture.
Yeah.
This movie dropped off so bad. The more groups that he met, the less I liked this movie. And it wasn't that the groups were terrible or that, like, their costume design wasn't it. It's just I didn't care more and more and more. And it seemed like maybe it was because he was having to play the dumb caveman. But it was so much, and every scene was too fat. Every single scene, except for that first floating head.
Needed more of that.
I wanted more guns to come out of his mouth. I wanted grenades to come out of his mouth.
Yeah.
Give these people explosives. Also, there was like 30 of them.
So
And this dude was like,
Yeah.
hundreds of guns.
yeah, well, no, I'm just
Yeah.
saying, like, take over the world, kill everyone you see.
Yeah,
And I'm like, these guys are
there's
just
a class
running around
of
like
guys.
banshees, shooting each other almost.
We can just call that the modern
did
Republican
you catch
Party
the thing
nowadays,
where
but-
there's
Yeah.
like there's basically different clusters of these people.
Well,
Oh,
I think
yeah.
he's always floating, so, like, maybe.
Yeah.
Like
but-
that floating head is actually like transferring supplies from
Oh.
one place to another.
Okay.
Like
Oh.
this group.
Oh,
that
that's
we
why
see
he's
in the
sending
film
wheat over
isn't the
probably
only
to
one.
right.
Okay, that's fair then. I was like, these fuckers aren't doing anything.
No, yeah.
They're gonna kill themselves before they kill another group
Yeah,
of
they
people.
look like dudes who just randomly shoot themselves
Yeah,
all the time.
oops, the gun just goes.
Well said. Yeah, we buried him in wheat.
But yeah, super fat. Super crazy
Do you
fat.
think the head also spits out little heads for them to wear as masks? Because they did all have the
That
masks.
I
was
did, yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
I like
that-
that. And then
yeah.
some of them had it on the back of
Yeah.
the head.
Can we all just...
You know, I wonder
You just
how
wanna go
get
with
that
Zardoz this
mask.
year?
You could have it
You
3D
should.
printed.
Yeah. You could probably buy the original one for like $20 from the set.
Shape.
Fat. Oh my Jesus Christ, God, this is a fat movie. Everything's fat in this movie except for most of the boobs. A lot of them are kind of in the B, C cap. No shame, but you know, shape is everything. And this movie lacked a lot of butt, so I think that was okay. So maybe it's a little thin. Maybe a little thin, but I do think at one point you do see vagina for just a split frame. You have to really work for it, but I do think you see it. Good God, that mask is $185. They should pay you that much to take it. Either way, this movie is very, 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 very fat. Very fat.
This movie is very, 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 very fat. I don't know how you can watch this movie and not think that. It is so... It does not have a direction. There's no direction that this movie is going in. It just waffles around, engaging in this society the whole time, and you're just like, what's the point of this movie? What is going on? Then all of a sudden, Sean Connery's leading the society and is like, I am a scholar. And then we didn't talk about the part where he becomes enlightened and he has all the people following him and he's like, shoo. And then they're like, ah. You remember when he's walking out and he's like doing that?
He had established this, like, I don't know, this following, I guess, at that point.
Yeah,
And like, they had
Yeah,
really
like,
respected him.
He gave them all his seed, and they in turn gave
not evil.
him all
Yeah.
of their knowledge.
Yeah.
Are you talking about when they all started sucking the life out of him, literally? Because that's a different scene.
No.
Where he's trying to get away and they're like, ah. They're like
time of
zombies.
I know this is
the
crazy
scene
'cause I'm,
where
like,
it's
having a hard time
they're
remembering what they're
projecting
talking
like
about.
computer code and stuff onto his head. Like,
Oh, okay.
Two
yeah.
di-
Like
those are
the-
like, I
the
think we're talking
very-
about 3 different scenes.
Yeah.
Sorry, Nathan, give it.
Fat.
Say how fat
Just
it
say
is.
how fat it is.
So
Say fit. Make
I
us
thought
look
you were
like
going to
dicks.
mention earlier, whenever I was like prefacing this, I did say that this was probably the worst movie that I'd ever put on the wheel, but I also said that this movie feels so much longer. Like in my head, this is a 3
No, you
hour
did say
movie.
this.
You
You did
did.
say that. Yeah.
And whenever
Yeah.
I saw that it was only like 1 hour 40,
Hour 40.
something
yeah.
like that, I was very surprised because I remembered this movie feeling like it went on for ages, and it does feel.
I
that
agree.
way.
Yes.
This movie is like lost in where it's going so many times,
Mm.
but I don't know. I mean, I think there's a lot of stuff that it does that's still kind of interesting, and I still just keep sticking to the whole like the chaos of the latter half of this movie with the like I don't know. I just like the hijinksy thing of like a bunch of old people like sneaking around and stuff.
There's
Like,
some
it's-
dumb fun to be had on
like
the tail end
that's
of that.
it's
yeah.
funny.
When
Yeah.
they cross-dress Sean Connery and he
Yeah.
takes off
Yes.
his veil.
Yeah.
And they're like,
Yes.
kiss the bride. And it's Sean Connery. Like, it's great.
The movie is so far off the fucking rails at that point, and then you're sitting
That's
here.
what I'm saying. If you're
Well,
on board at that point, then I guess
Yeah.
it's hitting
But
so good for you.
And
Right.
for me, I think the added funniness of it is just the fact that it's like, these were all real people. Like, yeah,
Yes.
this is a movie, but all these people really were there, like, half naked,
All the
a bunch
time.
of old people
All the
in,
time.
like,
Yeah.
suits and stuff.
I would have
like,
loved
this,
to see the set.
This
Like,
was, like, filmed in person with
Yeah.
just this
This movie's a
chaos.
blast to be a crew on.
Oh yeah,
Like,
this probably would have been like the wildest thing you ever did in your life.
Which that leads into, I have 2 pieces of trivia I need to read. Leading from you all saying that, the atmosphere away from filming, fueled by copious narcotics, was so hedonistic
Yeah.
that the village of Gary Kennedy, where filming took place, was granted temporary access to a mobile STI clinic. The census, which took place in 1975, also revealed the population of the village grew by 15%.
Jesus.
That's pretty big.
Fantastic.
That's insane. And then
This is Woodstock and your backyard.
And then to continue about what we were talking about the movie, director Sir John Boorman would later admit that he was under the heavy drug influence while writing the film and during production. He also claims that not even he is sure what parts of the film are about.
Oh my God.
Mainly due to the haze of drugs he was in at the time, and feels that several scenes are pointless.
Oh,
Here's what
I love it.
You know what? That's trivia just confirming what I already thought. So
Like that's beautiful.
That this is just a big orgy and everybody just had a good time.
with that
It
wonderful.
sounds like Boogie Nights, but like over in Ireland or something.
Oh man,
like,
talk about another movie I need to put on the wheel.
Do it.
Heather Graham gets up. Listen to that one. She's a banger. Anyway, take it to the top scores there.
I'll go first.
Yep.
The one part that I really did enjoy about this movie, and I probably shouldn't have, was the
nudity.
was the very end where like they finally did have a child. And you
Oh
just
God,
saw
that has the
montage,
weird-
yeah, and
yeah.
the
Montage
aging.
of him getting older and aging.
Yeah,
And then it just sits. Them,
Yeah.
And
like
just the skeletons.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. That was my favorite part, and it could be said because I'm
I
glad it
thought
was
the
over.
outfit was cool.
Yeah, the outfit was
They
cool.
filmed that 3 times.
And Sean Connery hated it. That's the only trivia that I've got.
Yeah.
Is he hated the ending of this movie and he thought it was dumb.
I think that he latched on so much to this movie that the ending is what puts him over. And he's
Oh
like,
yeah.
my only complaint.
Yeah.
Do you think he was in on the drugs?
He's got-
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He was the
74
star.
Bond Sean Connery
Yeah.
is
Some of those kids
fucking
are
every
his.
person. 15% of Sean Connery's children
Came from this set.
Yeah, came from this set.
No, but I think that this movie is tragically bad. When Nathan said that this was his worst movie that he put on the wheel, I was in disbelief because who was Excalibur?
Excalibur.
Oh yeah.
This movie is
continues to
worse
grow
than
on me.
that. It's worse than everything he's put on.
Everything.
I would rewatch
Oh, you agree with him on it? Yeah.
the Lost Kingdom or Wizards of the whatever Kingdom.
Yeah.
What about
Again.
Lawnmower Man?
I would watch that one again.
Fuck you, no.
I wanted to.
Watch director's
When
cut.
we do
on your
retro,
own
that's the
time.
first one I pitch every
Yeah.
time.
Fuck
Yeah.
all
So,
the way off.
That Wizards movie was terrible.
That one was terrible, but it didn't feel 3 hours like this one
Yeah.
did. This one I was
It was
nodding
very much
off
a
at the
quick
end,
hour.
and I was like fighting to keep myself conscious, just so I could have a couple talking points. This movie's a 5, and I don't know. I wish I could. Birdemic got a 1 out of me because it wasn't a production.
Mhm.
This movie felt.
Yeah.
This movie felt in that direction.
Then just
except
give
there's
it a
Sean
lower
Connery.
score.
in
Because
it.
it's not at that level.
It's
though.
Sean
You
Connery.
can go lower than 5.
No,
it's
you-
possible.
It
No, this
is,
movie
but
is
this
a
is-
production.
but
It's
this
just
movie
it's
is a production.
like
It doesn't
who just
deserve less
said
than
it?
five.
Didn't you
doesn't
say
make
it?
any sense. So 5 is your floor on a 10-point scale.
No, we're saying that 1 is the floor so far because it's the only movie we've seen that isn't a real
But
movie.
you
It's
said-
not a real movie. It's a YouTube series of clips.
Yeah.
I don't want to
I
talk
don't
about
get
Birdemic ever again.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is
I
this
love
is
that
the
movie.
worst movie I think I've seen on this thing that was an actual production. Maybe besides Raging Bull.
Okay, that's fair.
And Raging Bull was
Awful.
bad.
Yeah,
It was so bad.
It was pretty bad.
And that's where I'm at.
And if you like it, you're bad. I said it. Let me know in the comments below if you're offended.
That's
like-
everybody.
That's fine. You're wrong. Us four are right. That's why you watch
We're
us.
always right.
Always.
Yeah.
This movie is so rigorously bad. There's so much bad in this movie. It's so. I've never been so bored watching
But
so
there's
much,
so much
nudity.
nudity.
But there's
That's
so
what
much
I'm
nudity.
saying. And normally
Right.
you see boobs and you're like, all
All
right,
right.
there's something I can look forward to.
You know when you watch horror movies and they like horror movies of the time, right back in the day, where
Yeah.
they would just have sex scenes
Yeah.
and horror and just nudity because it was the 80s and you had to pay the women for something, I guess. You know,
Jesus.
not me, that's them. All right, that's their words. So you know they would just do it, and you were like, oh, finally my nudity break, right? And then the movie was just this the entire time, and I'm just like, oh, thank God the break from nudity was like it was the other way around with it. The acting was bad. The set design was actually quite nice. I will give it credit. The apathetics there's some funny moments. There's something about the idea where he's
Where
like
Sean Connery
he's like trying to rape
that
one.
Yeah.
He's trying to rape
It's
the
just
one.
like, oh, you want her?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, they don't care. And he just tosses her up to the and she gets her, and she's just going
She's
like,
got like a broken neck all the time.
yeah. Like literally, like super far back.
Yes.
There are moments that are so unintentionally funny, that it's just like, wow, you're that bad. We circle all the way around that we're kind of funny on it. But it showed a soft and a hard drawn penis, and it did show my favorite amount of nudity of movie so far. This is the most nudity we have ever seen in a movie on this podcast.
Yeah.
Fritz the cat.
And Fritz the cat doesn't do that.
I don't know about
Minute
that.
per minute. Okay, for like percent of the movie,
There's
maybe.
a ton in Fritz the cat.
There is a ton. But this is real.
Do you remember the part where Fritz is like chasing after the bird that's naked?
There is
a cow or
there's
like
a
a
cow
hippo.
and a pig and then a hippo. Listen, there's a lot of it, but I think for minutes watched, this movie has more
I
nudity.
gotta say, I'd never expected I would be the one throwing out the most nudity.
Right. You would have thought eventually I just would have thrown in a porn, but like, but no, this is it. Yeah, the movie is one of the worst movies I think I've ever seen. 7.5.
7.5.
7.5.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Christ, take it. Quick.
Are
Kill
you
it.
really giving it a 7.5?
I'll give it a 6.5 because a 6 looks more like a penis. And
And it's closer to
Yeah.
69.
It's
than
6.5 or
7.5
it's 6.5 or an 8. Either one looks more
Just
like
give
boobs
it
or
a
a penis.
6.9.
Nice. You know what? I'll allow it. 6.9. on
The
this one.
first 6.9.
Hey! Go ahead, Bryce.
This movie's garbage. I mean, it starts out on a really high note with just like the craziness that's going on, and then it tapers off dramatically when it gets into the politics of the immortal society, and I just got bored to tears
Basically,
at that
if
point.
you're not on board with that, you're not on board with this movie.
No, not at all, because it's delving into that mindset of what it means to be immortal, and that just got so boring. But I mean, it did show a lot of nudity, but at the end of the day, I didn't really care, because it's just like, it's there. It's,
You can only put
I
so
don't
much
care.
duct tape on a hole in a boat.
Right.
Yeah, there's not much going on, and this movie's still just boring. It's just boring, and it's doing really weird stuff, and it has its own voice, which I appreciate. Because, like I said, like when I think back to this movie, I'm like, yeah, that was a drug-fueled orgy, whatever was going on.
Yeah,
in
the tail end of it, I think,
Zardoz.
was just candid shots.
Yeah,
of
like what was happening off camera really played into what was happening on.
I would watch
Yeah.
the documentary making of this film.
Oh
That'd
yeah,
be much-
Heartbeat.
that'd be much
that'd
more
probably be
interesting.
very interesting.
Yeah,
But,
heartbeat.
but this movie still is a hair better than Excalibur, so this is, I'll give it a 2.5. Because at least I didn't hate my time with it. It didn't feel that long. It's still too long, but it's not absolute garbage tier for me. At least it's doing something.
All right, everybody scores their penis length, so Price put a 2.9.
Yep.
I gave it 2.5.
5, sorry. Then that. Yeah.
Recognize.
Sorry.
I'm a grower, not a shower.
Yeah.
Nathan, what you got?
Yeah, this is a movie that I've always
Where's
thought
the
was
button?
interesting, just in the sense that I like the consideration of immortality and its like downfall, like how it's ultimately maybe not good to have to live forever.
I hate the slam.
And like to just see like somebody trying to attempt to portray something like that on film, I've always thought was interesting. I am constantly reminded of this movie because I have a friend on my Steam friends list that has Sean Connery in the like
Yeah.
In his
the-
avatar.
yeah, like that's
I think
his
I've seen that
profile
before on
picture.
your Steam.
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, so I like this movie has always been in my head.
Yeah.
I've never forgotten this thing.
This lives rent free in your head.
Yeah, like Sean Connery is in like a red Speedo in my head, at least like a couple of times a week.
Nice.
But
You lucky
yeah,
dog.
I mean,
Good problems to have.
it's very much a product of the people that made it. Turns out,
Yeah.
do a lot of drugs and try and make a movie, and you'll end up with a lot of garbage. And
If I get divorced, I'm making a sequel to this film. I'm telling you
Yeah.
right now.
Spell it backwards.
Yeah,
Zardoz.
Zardoz.
Gotta sell your Final
Well,
Fantasy cards
Yeah,
I mean,
why not?
you know,
to fund it.
if you want to talk about like a drug-fueled kind of movie too, like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas
It's just that, too.
is kind of that too.
Not to
It
the extent.
Probably is better.
But it's actually a real movie.
Yeah,
Full of
like
Jim
it's
Carrey.
actually
Part
a
2,
movie.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's kind of hard for me to give this that much of a good score because it wastes your time so much. And it's,
Give it a good
Like,
score. Just
I-
do it.
I will say I like that latter half so much because I just
Nathan, you're a fucking crazy man.
I'm always looking at it from the picture of like this actually happened. Like, there was actually
Yes.
a bunch of people on a set.
You don't see the movie or the
doing
story.
this.
You just see
Yeah,
the people.
I'm looking through the camera, not at the story, but at a bunch of people actually, like, in a field at night with this, like, doing this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
That is true. I mean, it's...
I'll probably give it like a 6.5.
Give it a 6. Give it 0.6.
I'll give it 6.9.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's gonna throw off like our average.
our average
actually
measure.
do
There's
that.
gonna be a 4.75.
We're only like
Exactly.
160 movies in. Like, I think
Yeah.
our average can.
Yeah, it can.
I think our
swindle a
averages
little bit.
probably actually like hit the exact median
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Like that's why
on the spreadsheet,
those
it's not just put it in the
statistics
sentence.
have not been
Yeah,
worth
okay.
looking at anymore because those statistics are pretty much a dead heat at this point. Like we have locked in exactly where we are statistically.
Yeah.
Like average scores and whatnot.
Right.
Price, would you like to look up the Rotten Tomatoes, please?
I was gonna.
Ooh, all right. Look at this. The tomato
Much
score
more.
has a nice green old black of 49%
With 37 reviews.
with only 37 now with 41 reviews. Maybe keep that sounds about right. 2.5.
Dude, that was perfect,
7,
yeah.
6.9s.
Make
Yeah, so
it
49%. All right, critics of the time. It sounds like you were on board with it. Audience score 53%. I find that amazing. 47% of people don't like boobs. News to me. Or it's the egregious amount of rape. But either way, of course.
Oh, yeah.
There it is.
So
Normally,
that
we would
background.
spin the wheel, but it makes the episode feel a lot special because we're halfway through a season. We can't just spin the wheel into the
Why can't we?
Because we gotta have an intermission break.
Then
before-
do some jumping jacks or something.
No, we've got to have a whole gap between it. We can't just spin into the next half of the
Spin.
season. Makes no
Spin,
sense.
spin,
Oh my
spin.
god, you guys are trash. Fine, I'm spinning
Spin.
it though. To our hangout.
Why would it actually be that terrible movie I put on there?
Is it?
Double Trouble?
Oh.
Okay, no.
That was my, that was
Double
my
Trouble?
third choice. Okay.
Oh, all right.
The one I had the most trouble picking.
Hold on. Before you do this,
Yeah,
we
go
have to
for
make
it.
a.
You guys want to take
guess?
guesses?
What's the one?
Parent Trap.
Yeah, Lindsay Lohan, right? That's
I like
That's
the
my
way you're
guess.
thinking.
Double Trouble.
Double Trouble.
Parent Trap's taken.
No, hold on.
If I gave you the guy,
I was about to say it's a guy,
Okay.
isn't it? It's
Yeah.
a twin with that.
Jake Gyllenhaal,
Oh my fucking god.
you guys probably have never heard of it.
Double Trouble.
You're doing you're just doing Brother again.
Brokeback Mountain? I don't know.
Bro,
I want you
I
to
want to run it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's called Enemy, with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Actually, I haven't seen this.
I haven't either.
Never heard of it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, there you go. Nice.
So make sure to tune in at the beginning of the second half of the season, whenever it comes out.
Sometime in 2024.
Yeah, sometime you can we promise you in 2024 you'll get the second half of this season that you love so much, and you will be watching us talk about Enemy
Enema.
of the state.
Of the state.
Yeah. If you like the content we're doing, gosh, just give us a fucking thumbs up, man. If you're watching,
We just watched this for you.
we just watch this for you,
and for him.
and for him,
And for him.
and we're just keep watching. We're actually lobotomizing ourselves by doing this podcast. You can't even get us to 60 million subscribers. Come on, guys. We're at 61 right now. We only need about a couple million
I
more.
needed a cold shower after I watched that movie.
Oh boy, I was. You mentioned dozing off, and that wasn't exactly what I was thinking when I was watching this movie. But, anyways, make sure to subscribe, hit the bell, and tune in for the second half of this season next time with Enemy.
Oh, it was a masturbation joke.
It was. You got it. Bye, guys.
I was trying to sign off on that.
Yeah.